Hi. Hi. I'm back. I'm actually streaming again. Isn't that crazy? You guys even remember me? It's been like 2 days. The real question is, do I remember what happened in this game? Because we last played it almost half a year ago. So we'll see how that goes. Hi Laptech, hi Mai, hi Cecil, welcome to the stream. How are you guys doing? We still, in fact, for those who haven't watched previous streams, we still have not finished the first common route ending. So we still have a lot to go. But I believe that I can finish one ending. Will I finish the whole game? Sweats. But if I finish one ending, I consider that a success. Truly. I feel like maybe my standards for myself are a little bit low. But, you know, it'd be like that. But yeah, sorry for being like a little well, am I really late if this wasn't properly scheduled in the first place? Yeah, no, I had a little bit of an emergency, and thankfully it got resolved with like pretty quick, like an hour and a half. But I had to start later. But I'm here. I'm happy I get to stream still. And I was like rushing to start, so I have so many things open that I don't need. And I'm gonna start closing them real quick so that my computer doesn't explode. Don't ask me how many tabs in my browser I have open. It's actually bad. Anyway. Hi Hachi! Welcome! How's it going? Do we just hop in? Chapter 6, Noah. Is that where we stopped? I never remember if we oh my god, no. Quick load. Okay, it's the same. Right? Because this is 20... Not... Okay, yeah, so this is the newest save. Oh wait, we stopped on a delusion. Okay, just like we did before, you guys get to choose if we do a positive delusion, if we face reality, or if we choose a negative delusion. I always let chat choose. So I'm sorry that I'm throwing this onto you guys right at the beginning of stream. But you know, sometimes you're just faced with difficult challenges. Normally I would do like a little bit of like chatting at the start, but I feel like we've already like I'm late with the stream and everything. So I'll just hop in. So, positive delusion, reality, or negative delusion? Because also for those who don't know, right now, because we're doing the first ending, the game is locked where you have to clear this ending, and you can't get anything else, and it doesn't actually matter, which option you choose right now, because you're still gonna be locked to the first ending, and only after clearing that you get to do other endings, and then we're gonna actually follow a walkthrough. Also, I have been like struggling to crack my neck, and I'm dying. God, it feels so weird when like I'm asking chat to do it because there's no music, and I just feel like I'm sitting in complete silence. Well, it doesn't feel like it. That's true. We're just gonna stare at each other. Is that what's gonna happen? You guys are not gonna pick anything? Really? Really? Positive. Let it be positive. God, the like little heartbeat effect is so weird.
あの花壇を作ったの。
It was Senna who had attacked me out of nowhere. She was yanking my collar hard, too. I couldn't breathe. I tried flailing my arms around, but she didn't let go at all. There was an intense light in her eyes that might have been murderous. I shivered, shaking my head frantically, thinking she was going to kill me.
とぼけるな。
Senna's hot breath tickled my cheek. What is happening? Her face was close enough that I worried she might bite me. Senna glared at me from up close. Ah! Jump scare. Get that tongue. I regret my decision. This is all your fault, Hachi. And something soft was pressed against my lips. I couldn't understand what had just happened, and I couldn't breathe. I felt like I was going to pass out. I tried to run, but Senna was holding me too tight for me to even move. Something soft and wet slipped between my lips. It licked on my gums and intertwined itself with my tongue, having its way with my mouth. I didn't know what was going on, but for some reason, it felt so good. It still hurt to breathe, though. I felt like I was about to pass out. Just before everything went black, whatever it was finally withdrew from my mouth. Why is he acting like... whatever it was? What could it be? What could it be? Sit in a better way. Senna's lips were wet with saliva. The murder in her eyes was gone, replaced with something like lust. The only two emotions, actually. The only two emotions that exist, actually. Had she just kissed me?
お前こそ勇者だ。
What?
お前の力を私に貸せ。私と一緒に戦え。拒否するのは許さない。
I didn't understand what she was saying at all, but she sounded angry. She brought her face close to mine once more. Oh, not this sound! She pushed her lips against me hard, forcing her tongue into my mouth. Her hot breath and sweat, sweet saliva both poured into me.
私は勇者に純潔を捧げるために生まれてきた巫女だ。
What is happening? I wondered idly what age game she was taking that from. Yeah. Yeah.
お前がいないとこの戦いには勝てない。 死の契約を交わそう。
Senna bit my lip hard. I winced in pain as the taste of blood filled my mouth.
お前が欲しい。
This wasn't how you were supposed to ask when you wanted something from someone. None of what she was saying made any sense either. But the way it seemed like she was almost— Ah! Whoa! Whoa! We're not saying that! We're not saying that! Hello? Hachi, look what you did.
おい。
Oh, I'm just thank God it's over. I came back to my senses. Senna was still grabbing me hard and pushing me against the playground equipment. Her face was still right up against mine. Our eyes met, and I could feel my own face getting hot.
その力のことを誰に教わったんだって聞いているんだ。
I had no memory of being asked that at all. Had it happened while I was fantasizing about her forcing herself on me? I had no idea what was going on, but Senna was still shaking me violently.
誰からだ？答えろ。天聖信仰会とは関係あるのかないのか。
What the fuck is the Cosmic Church of the Divine Light? What was it here? And then you go tips list? A fictional cult founded in 1930. It claims to have around 5 million followers, but the actual number is believed to be closer to 2 million. The cult is known for its particularly aggressive borderline criminal proselytizing, the action of attempting to convert someone from one religion, belief, or opinion to another. Well, I learned something today. Its second-generation leader, Yudai Kuramochi, is a man of incredible charisma, and his followers have absolute trust in him. Cosmic Church of the One now? I shook my head frantically. I couldn't breathe. I was going to suffocate. I was passing out, dying. I couldn't stay awake. Just before I passed out, Senna suddenly let go of me. I collapsed where I stood. I coughed and tried to force as much air into my lungs as I could. Was Senna my enemy after all? Was she working with Shogun too? If so, I had to get out of here.
関係ないならいい。悪かった。
Senna saw my confusion and looked momentarily annoyed. Then she sighed. She turned to leave. It looked like she didn't intend to hurt me after all. If that was the case, then... I worked up my courage and spoke. I thought she would ignore me, but she stopped and turned back. She was still frowning, but at least it looked like she would listen to me.
力って、何なの?
Senna knew something. She had asked if I was the one who had created the flower bed. Everybody else there ended up thinking that the flower bed had been there from the start. But for some reason, Senna knew differently.
さっきの花壇、どうなって。
お前が妄想したんだろ。
My delusion? Yeah, it was, but...
妄想は現実にすることが可能だ。本当じゃないものが景色に紛れ込む。つまり、エラーを現実として認識させる。
でも、視界に映すだけじゃ、それって、幻でしかないよ。
An illusion wasn't real. It didn't exist. If that flower bed was an illusion, Ayasa would be dead right now. Ayasa had survived, because it wasn't an illusion, but a real flower bed.
世界の仕組みは、3つの数字で全て説明できる。0と1、そしてマイナス1。ディソードは、そのマイナス1を生み出すためのショートカットになる。 だがお前は理想度なしでそれをやった。
She was starting to go off the rails again. No, but what Senna was saying wasn't just some girl's crazy ramblings. The VR technology patent was real, at least. Maybe Senna knew something after all.
いいか、これ以上エラーを作るな。それがお前のためだ。
My manager at work after I fuck up, inevitably, again. It is a threat.
それと他にもエラーを見たら教えろ。
Her words sounded almost like a threat, and then she turned away.
目に見えるものだけを信じられることがどんなに幸せか。
Senna whispered that, and then this time, she left the park. There was silence on the floor of AH Tokyo General Hospital where the psychiatric wards were located. The surgery and emergency wards were, supposedly, dealing with a rash of unexplainable comas that had started to occur after the earthquake. But the psych ward had nothing to do with any of that. If anything, they had finished up their outpatient exams a little earlier than scheduled. A few days from now, they might have a flood of people experiencing PTSD from the quake, but for today, at least, there's nothing left for the outpatient staff to do. Shino Hazuki, one of the nurses, had been working here since last night's night shift, and belatedly realized she had barely taken a break the whole time. She was hungry, too. The ward had lost one of its doctors the other day. He had been murdered horribly in one of the Nugent incidents, and his replacement hadn't come yet, so there weren't enough people. But all that was left for the day were a few minor tasks. She could hand them over to the night staff, and she would finally be able to go home. She slapped her cheeks with her hands, telling herself she just had to hang in there a little longer, and began to quickly walk across the lobby. Suddenly, she felt a gaze from behind, a prickling at the back of her neck. She shivered. She spun around out of sheer reflex, but there was nothing there but a quiet, empty hallway. Oh. Why did it break?
看護師さん。
Hazuki was startled. The voice had come from completely the opposite of the direction she had expected. She had thought the lobby was empty, but there was one person left. He had called out to her when he had seen her. It was a man with a handsome, if still young face. His pallor was healthy, and he certainly didn't look sick.
あなたは。
ちょっと時間もらっていいすか。
はあ。
どうもっす。
The man gave an embarrassed smile and then suddenly grabbed her by the arm and pulled her from the lobby towards the stairs. The man, Mamoru Suwa, took out a small black book from his pocket and showed it to her. He flipped it open and showed her his police ID. He stopped next to the stairs and looked around carefully to make sure nobody was nearby.
それで、お話って。
She still had work to do and was feeling a little uneasy. Suwa seemed to realize this, so without wasting any more time, he took out a photo from his pocket and showed it to her.
この少年に見覚えないっすか。
It was a photo of a listless-looking Takumi Nishijo. Because of the nature of her work, Hazuki prided herself on being good with faces, and she nodded without even really thinking about whether it was okay to answer or not. Your mic is at it again? Okay, thank you. 1 second. Restarting. Thank you for letting me know. Yeah, I still have not been able to fully fix that issue. It's very frustrating, so I really appreciate when people tell me. Hi TX, welcome to the stream. How's it going?
西條匠。間違いないっすか。
ええ。でも。
Her hesitation was natural. Giving anyone, even the police, information about a patient was strictly against the rules. But of course, Suwa had known that when he had talked to her. His casual attitude suddenly vanished and a serious look appeared on his face. He dropped his voice as he spoke.
頼みがあるんすけど。西條匠のカルテ、こっそり見せてもらえないっすか。
そんなの無理です。できませ
とある事件に関わる重要なことなんすよ。
Hazuki wasn't sure what to do. She turned to leave, but Suwa got in front of her and blocked her.
困ります。
迷惑はかけないっす。だから頼みますよ。
Finally, he got on his knees and began to beg. Damn.
やめてください。本当に無理なんです。
これ以上犠牲者を出さないためにも。
What could she do to make him give up? Hazuki couldn't come up with anything, so she just stood there, helplessly. After Senna left, I spent a while just standing there in shock, and quickly dashed back home. Fortunately, I didn't run into Shogun or Yua. In the end, I had come back here without ever finding Rimi. After the earthquake and what had happened with Ayase, I was sure they had sent the students home early for the day. It was even possible Rimi might show up here soon. Until then, I would just have to sit here quaking in fear, I guess. I decided I would take my mind off the fear by using my now functional computer to gather information. Then I saw my phone where I had left it next to my monitor. The light on it was flashing. I opened it and saw I had received a message. I thought it might be from Rimi, but... Nana iko. Today at school. Something amazing happened at school today. Somebody tried to jump off the roof. I was so shocked and scared. Sob. I wonder if you're okay. Were you at school when it happened? The earthquake was really crazy, huh? My head really hurt. I wonder why. I guess to Nanami, nothing that had happened today was that big of a deal. Lucky her. Of course I didn't answer. I decided to look up anything I could find on Ayase. I still couldn't get to Phantasm's official homepage. Oh yeah, by the way, if anyone is like new or hasn't been like caught up to the story, if you need any like explanation or of anything that's happening, just feel free to ask in chat. Not that I remember everything because it's been a while, but I'll try to like catch people up to speed or explain anything that might be confusing. The media didn't have anything to say about her either. To be fair, the earthquake was probably far bigger news than an attempted suicide by the vocalist of an indie band. Right now, I had no way of knowing if she was okay. There was a lot more information about the earthquake published now than there had been when I looked last. The number of dead had climbed to 118, and there were over 300 injured too. I couldn't believe there was a 3-digit number of fatalities. The epicenter of the quake was Shibuya, and the damage was limited to Shibuya to an extent that was surprising. The quake itself was intensity 5. There was also an article saying that almost every piece of magnetic media in Shibuya had been destroyed. The thought of the tragedy that had befallen me happening to other people made the frustration and anger I had felt come roaring back. It was a true tragedy. My age game saved... It was a true tragedy. My hentai game save data. My porn collection. They would never come back. God fucking damn it. Still, it didn't seem like an ordinary earthquake. Why am I... An ordinary earthquake wouldn't have killed 118 people. One sec. I was confused why I was getting pinged. The internet had noticed how odd that was too, and there was a lot of discussion. Damn it, they were all having fun talking about it. I thought back to what had happened during the earthquake. I had been hit by an incredible shock. It was a sensation I had never felt before, like my head was boiling over or exploding. That could easily kill someone, I thought. I looked at what was on TV too, not just the internet. My PC had a TV tuner built into it. That was why I didn't need a TV in my room.
現在までに死者118名、重軽傷者300名以上と非常に多くの犠牲者が出ていることが分かっています。さて、渋谷の駅前と中継がつながったようです。島谷さん、 現地の様子はいかがですか？
2005年に同じように震度5の地震が東京であったんですよ。その時はゼロで、なぜ今回は100名以上の被害者が出ているんですか？
被害者の数は震度に比例するわけじゃないんです。そこには様々な要因がありまして。亡くなった方の死因や病院に運ばれた負傷者の容体については、未だ詳しい情報が入っておりません。また、渋谷区を中心に磁気メディアが全壊してしまっていることについて、今日は専門家にお越しいただいております。
地質学産業研究所より林原泰造先生、財団法人地質調査環境センターより小沢幹人先生にお越しいただきました。
林原さん、今回の地震について磁気メディアに深刻な被害が出た原因というのはどういうところにあるんでしょうか？
まず知っておいていただきたいのは、渋谷区あたりの地下200メートル付近には磁鉄鉱、つまり天然の磁石が多く
No
埋
clue.
蔵されている地
Hayashibara.
層があるという
Real.
ことですね。地層の分類としては火成岩層ですが、私たちはこのエリアを磁鉄鉱の谷、マグネタイトバレーと呼んでいます。地中にある磁石の谷ですね。文字通りかなり大規模な岩脈なんですよ。ここにですね、今回の地震のような大きな刺激が加わったとするならば、その影響で地上に存在する磁生態、主に磁気メディアの
scene
持
is
つ
so
記
boring.
録部に
I'm being
致
honest.
命的なダメージを与えても
Okay.
何をバカな。
Whatever.
小沢先生は別の意見ですか？
Also, I just noticed, look how. What is her face? Why is it so flat?
確かに渋谷の地下には巨大なマグネタイトの岩脈があることですが、
Uh huh.
磁石と呼ぶにはあまりにも微弱なこのマグネタイト群にはですね、地上の磁気モーメントや
Blah
実
blah
際
blah
です
blah
ね。
blah blah blah
な
blah
ので
blah blah blah. Yeah, I get it. It's
渋谷にいた人の
yeah.
自分
Wow,
ごときで100
crazy.
人も殺せると。それではここで CM です。
I'm
結局
sorry. I just couldn't take it
詳しい
anymore.
ことは何もわからずか。
Yeah, exactly. The media was ignoring the huge white cloud that had appeared in Shibuya and the reports of the sky turning white. They had been reporting them at first, but now it was like they were being treated as if they had never happened. I felt really creeped out. The after-hours entrance to AH Tokyo General Hospital had a place to decide for ambulances to park when they arrived with emergency patients. There were 2 ambulances there now, and the EMTs were unloading patients to carry them into the hospital. A doctor in a light green surgical gown and a middle-aged head nurse were giving them orders. There were several patients sitting around the entrance waiting to be seen, and it was clear that the doctors were having trouble keeping up. There were 2 types of patients coming in today. The first were the injured, who had blood dripping from their arms or forehead, and their faces were twisted in pain. They were painful to look at, but they were being ignored for now. Priority was being given to the patients who were being brought in unconscious but without any external wounds. An awful lot of people coming in after the earthquake fit that description. These symptoms had never been seen after an earthquake before. As of now, the doctors had no idea what had caused them to lose consciousness. Another ambulance arrived, its loud sirens blazing. The technician got out of the ambulance and yelled at the doctor who asked him for the patient's description. That was the only explanation. Most doctors would have complained. With all that was going on, the normal answer to being told how to prioritize your own patients would be go screw yourself. But surprisingly, the doctor and head nurse both nodded and helped unload the stretcher from the ambulance. Lying on the stretcher was Ayase Kishimoto. She was unconscious and moaning softly. The doctor and the techs quickly took the stretcher inside, ignoring the glares of the injured around them. Standing a bit away from them by the main entrance of the hospital was a girl. She was watching them intently. Rimi Sakihata narrowed her eyebrows and bit her lip.
岸本さん。
What makes her more important? Huh. The earthquake was concerning, but Shogun was a much bigger deal to me right now. My headache was gone, but the fear was growing stronger and stronger inside me, and being alone was making me feel more and more depressed. There was still no word from Rimi. I tried calling, but she didn't pick up. Until now, Rimi would always appear right when I needed her, and tell me everything would be alright. Why didn't she come for me today? She had said she'd always be there for me. I gritted my teeth and devoted myself to setting up my computer. First, I had to reinstall my email software. I had only set it up once when I first got this machine, and then never touched it again, so I didn't remember any of my settings. I had to start by trying to figure out where the software and the manual even were. It wasn't that big of a job, but before too much time passed, I realized I was covered in sweat. Several times I had gotten so annoyed I almost gave up. But still, after an hour of work, 30 minutes of which was spent searching for the manual, I had my email back. I looked to see if I had any new messages.
メールだよボケナス
Hot lolly college girls are waiting for you. My husband cheated on me. Whose eyes are those? Now recruiting, only 20 spots available. I had fun yesterday. Your next quarter's tuition. Mind-blowing sex! I'm a pervert, be my sex friend. What is happening? I could finally hear Sayratan's voice again. Hearing it just made me feel better, like all my hard work had paid off. I had 8 new messages. All of them were spam. No, but the Whose Eyes Are Those is from Nanami. I don't know why these are not translated, but like this is from Nanami, so why would that be spam? And it also says Whose Eyes Are Those, which is freaky. But among them was one that seemed a little unusual. Okay. They're pointing it out. And had a slightly unusual name for its sender. Yep. その目誰の目? I let out a sharp moan. What the hell was this? Some prank of Nanami's? It was an awful prank if so. I felt like punching her in the face. No, wait. Nanami couldn't have emailed me. She had never contacted me from my computer's email address. Oh. When she wanted to talk to me, she used text, like she just had a moment ago. I had never even given her my PC email address. Was this just a coincidence? Sheer chance? Nanami was a pretty common name. And Whose Eyes Are Those was so common now, you heard it everywhere you went. I could easily see it being used as a title in a spam email. I decided to see what was inside.
結構な長文だな。さっきはチャットで話ができて楽しかったよ。ちなみに送信者の名前はダミー。僕の名前は将軍だよ。
Huh? Shogun? No way.
将軍が僕のメアド知ってるはずが。
But what if Shogun could read my mind? If he could, maybe it would be easy for him to find my email address.
嘘でしょ?
What was this? I read the whole thing. Its overly friendly tone made me shiver. My name is Shogun. I'm glad Ayasa survived. I was planning on using her as a victim in the next Nugent case, but I decided suicide would serve my purposes just as well. I'm impressed with you, though, Takumi. You've got a new high score. Very impressed. You really are special. Now then, it's Nanami Nishijo's turn. I'm hoping to make this one especially dramatic since she's your sister. Shibuya is in a nasty mood right now because of the quake. It's up to you to bring this to a moving climax that will make everyone feel so much better. It's getting hard to finish all these quests unarmed, isn't it? You're a hero. Don't you want a hero sword? Don't worry. I'll help you out. He was crazy! What was all this? Quests, high scores. It was like he thought it was a video game. It's time to begin the quest to save Nanami. Come to the roof of Ofron at 9 p.m. tonight. You'd be on TV, so try to something heroically. P.S. Did you get my present?
僕が勇者なんかじゃない。
Try to dress heroically. Okay. It was finally my turn to be killed. I wanted to run, to get out of here. Rimi. I had to get Rimi to protect me. Why couldn't I get a hold of her? Had she been hurt in the earthquake? But Misumi hadn't said a thing when I had met him earlier. I took out my phone to see if there were any missed calls or messages from her.
来てない。
Where was Rimi? Then I gasped. The inbox on my phone. It had the message I had just gotten from Nanami. Was Nanami okay? I reread the email that Shogun sent. Now it's Nanami Nishijo's turn. It's time to begin the quest to save Nanami. What did that mean? I needed to call her right away. I opened my phone's contact list. There were only 3 numbers on it. Home, Rimi's phone, and Nanami's phone. Whenever we met, Nanami was always irritatingly insistent that I call her. It wouldn't hurt to finally call her once in a while, right? I just hope she picked up, because if she didn't, I was never calling her again. Even if she had gotten hurt in the earthquake and couldn't pick up or something, I didn't care. I pulled up her number, pressed dial. I put the phone to my ear. There was no answer. The phone wasn't even ringing. I knew that there was always a little pause when you called someone on cell phone, but now, the silence seemed to run on for an eternity, and every passing instant, I got more and more irritated.
早くしてよ。よし、繋がった。
What was this sound? I pulled the phone away from my ear. There was a melody I didn't recognize coming from somewhere in the room. Was that a cell phone ringtone? Whose phone was ringing? Ooh, that's creepy. Okay, chat. Positive delusion, reality, or negative delusion? Take your picks. Oh. Negative? You want it to be even creepier? Damn. Okay, negative. From the timing, it had to be... I shook my head. I didn't know what ringtone Nanami used on her phone, which meant there was no proof that the melody I was hearing was from Nanami's phone. None. I got scared and put the phone back up to my ear. Nanami hadn't picked up yet. Come on, pick up. Pick up already. She picked up.
ななみでしょ。返事しろよ。今どこにいるんだ。大丈夫なの。何か言ってよ。ななみ。
I screamed into the phone, and then a voice spoke.
少しは落ち着いたら。
That voice. That voice was Shogun.
なんて。
I gasped in shock. I couldn't figure out why Shogun would answer when I called Nanami's phone. You couldn't figure it out? And with the email earlier, nothing comes to mind? Really? Could not figure it out at all? Really? Really? MC isn't the sharpest crayon on the block. Oh, the smartest MC is back. Yup. Hi, Metal. How's it going? All I could do was repeat the same thing like an idiot.
なんで
メールの意味がわからなかったのかな。
Imagine if Shogun gets annoyed that he has to like actually say things directly and he can't be like a shady, sneaky supervillain. That must actually suck if you're trying to be a villain and like your enemy, the hero, is just really fucking stupid and you have to be like, okay, let me explain.
信じない。こんなの信じない。
That's right. I didn't believe it. It was a delusion. My own delusion of what the worst case scenario would look like. Why are we becoming self-aware? Somehow that's even weirder. Why are we... Wait, don't do this. Yo, bro, can you, like, pay attention? You're ruining my edgy and spooky aura. But the reality wasn't too far off. Nanami still hadn't answered, and somebody's phone was ringing in my room. It was a cheerful melody, the complete opposite of my own mental state. I'm sorry, it just makes me think of those, like, emo kids where I don't listen to pop music. Because the darkness in my soul. Nanami's phone had to be in my room. It was the only explanation. I couldn't think of any other way to explain it, and I couldn't avert my eyes from reality anymore. P.S. Did you get my present? No, that had to be a lie. There is no way this could be real. I lowered my phone slowly. I couldn't even blink. My throat was parched, but still, I looked for the source of the sound. This time I looked around slowly. Slowly, my eyes landing on each and every object scattered about the room. Oh yeah, if his room wasn't a whole fucking mess, this would be a little bit easier to find, wouldn't it? Not that I'm one to talk. I hated myself violently for not cleaning before. Yeah, that's exactly what I was talking about. If the place wasn't such a mess, I'd be able to tell where it was coming from immediately. Where was the sound coming from? This box. The sound was coming from inside the box. It was the size of 2 hentai game boxes side by side. Is that a unit of measurement now? I thought it was from something I had bought online, but there was nothing printed on it. There was no address label either. But it was sealed tightly with tape. Had this big box always been here? Did it fall off the bed in an earthquake?
Yeah.
I had never seen this box before. I always opened anything I ordered online right away too. And if it was something I had sold at an online auction, I would have shipped it off right after I wrapped it up. I thought that maybe Nanami had brought me some food or something, but I didn't remember her bringing me a box this big. Which meant that in the hour or so when I had been at school, someone had been here. I'm sending you a present. I hope you like it. My heart started pounding faster. I quickly checked the lock on the door. A cold chill ran down my back. I didn't remember locking the door when I had staggered out of the base earlier today. I had never even thought about it. I had barely even been conscious thanks to that terrible stabbing headache. The door had been completely unlocked for the hour I had been gone. Anybody who wanted to could have come in. Had Shogun been here? Had he come into my home? I looked at the box again. The melody was still playing. Nanami's phone was inside. I gingerly picked up the cardboard box. Chad, do you think it's just gonna be the phone, or is there gonna be something like real fucking weird in there? Place your bets. Because I honestly, I don't know what to expect. It was heavy. It was far too heavy to hold just the phone. It felt like it weighed about the same as a 500 milliliter bottle of juice. Just say half a kilogram. Just say half a kilogram. Be normal. I hesitated to open it. Something felt very, very wrong.
こんなの開きたくないよ。
But I couldn't think of a way to avoid it. And I was worried about Nanami too. She was a little brat, but she was still my sister. Nanami's phone was inside this box, which meant that someone had stolen it from her. It's time to begin the quest to save Nanami. That's what Shogun's email had said. I looked at the clock. It was 7:30. I had just an hour and a half until the designated time. Maybe Nanami was in danger? I had to open it. The sensation of my heart pounding wouldn't go away. The sweat was pouring off my forehead. I wiped the sweat away with the back of my hand and let out a moan as I started to strip off the tape.
やだ、やだ、やだ、やだ、やだ、やだ、やだ、やだ、やだ、やだ、やだ、やだ。
I whispered in prayer as I opened the lid. What the fuck is that? Surely he just sent us a burrito. There's a nice tortilla in there. Right? Right? Inside a box was a lump of aluminum foil. They had even put packing peanuts around it. Holding back my terror, I looked inside a box, but there was no sign of the phone. The melody was coming from within the foil. Sweat got in my eyes and stung. I realized my whole body was covered in sweat. Please, just make this all stop happening. Why was I the only one this ever happened to? I felt like crying and complaining to somebody. I looked to Seiratan for words of encouragement, but she was silent. My head was so full of terrible delusions that I couldn't even imagine her speaking to me. Oh, it's bad. I was so tense that my mind was on the verge of shorting out, but the cheerful melody of the phone kept driving me on.
あげると。
I steeled my nerves and grabbed the edge of the foil with my fingers. I closed my eyes, held my breath, and ripped off the foil. The melody was louder and clearer than ever. I was afraid to open my eyes. I tried to catch my breath, but it wasn't working. It's fine. It's fine. There's nothing to be worried about. This was just some prank of Nanami's, right? And the second now, she was going to walk in and yell, "Gotcha!" Yeah, that was what would happen. It was the only explanation. If she came in, I was going to scream at her, and then I would never speak to her again. That's right. Tell me I'm right, Nanami. I couldn't keep my eyes closed anymore. Staring into the darkness was too much for me. The fact that I couldn't see it was just making the awful delusions worse. So I slowly opened my eyes and saw. Oh, I fucking knew it! I fucking knew it! I fucking knew it! What I saw was a hand. A small, cleanly severed hand. It was holding the same model phone I had. And on the wrist.
へえ、かわいいバングルじゃん。じゃあさ、これナナにちょうだい。ひひ、お兄、どう？似合う？
A bangle. Its yellow band was stained red with blood. I really thought that it was gonna be a hand like that. But I was hoping that if I don't say it out loud, it would turn out to be something else. Ugh.
君は元医師だろ。患者に説明するように分かりやすく簡潔に話してもらえるとありがたい。
努力しましょう。さて、人間の脳の中にある何億という脳細胞。それらは細い神経の糸を出し合って、それぞれに手をつないでいるような格好をしています。
Are they gay?
しかし実際には各神経の先端にある手と手の間にはごくわずかな隙間が空いているんです。
Unlike Nanami, she could be holding a hand.
脳細胞に情報の電気信号が送り出されると、その神経の手のひらから極小の物質、ドーパミンがボールのように飛び出してきます。
This is better. I still cover a bit, but less, maybe.
それは反対側の神経の手のひらにキャッチされ、再度情報の電気信号に変わってまた隣の脳細胞に伝わっていく。脳の構造は簡単に言うとその繰り返しです。我が社が開発した第2世代ノア2はこの部分に干渉することで人に疑似的な映像を見せることを可能としました。
ホログラムのようなものか。
あるいは幻覚かな。
幻覚の方が近いでしょう。ですが明確に違う点として、その疑似的映像は確かな存在感があるものとして映るということです。人間の目、視覚というのは実に興味深いものです。視野は単眼の場合、鼻側60度、耳側100度程度、両眼の重複視野は120度で、周辺視野を含めれば180度から200度もの視界が広がっているんです。その一方で、以前ご説明したようなデッドスポットもまた存在する。脳にとって視覚とは最もつながりの深い部位です。脳はそのおよそ 80% を視神経情報の処理のためだけに使っている。
その点については300人委員会も注目しておる。
人間の視覚にはまだまだ謎が多い。世界中で研究テーマとして上がっているものだけでも1000以上に及ぶからね。
アメリカで数年前に発行された行政命令、機密の人体研究に対する保護の強化というのは委員会による圧力ですか？
圧力ではない。これは選定だよ。
300人委員会はどこの馬の骨とも知れん研究者がこの分野に足を踏み入れることを歓迎せん。当然ながらアメリカだけではなく世界各国にも同様の指示は出ている。
我が国は随分自由のようですね。私のような人間を放置しているぐらいですから。
勘違いしてはいかんな。
何のために我々がいると思っている？
君はすでに選定済みなんだよ。だからこそ君には何よりも成果が求められている。
300人委員会をも出し抜けるような成果と。
うかつな口を聞くなと言っておる。
今はまだ我らの真の目的を誰にも悟られてはならない。
The true goal of trolling some dude living in a shipping container.
たとえ委員会に対してもね。
これは失礼。
Actually, all of this is just the Truman Show. That's the great plot twist of this whole visual novel. It's actually just the Truman Show, just even less ethical.
説明を続けたまえ。
ノア2が生み出した疑似的映像は視神経パルスに変換して電磁波
The
として照
Luluman
射します。
Show. Thank you.
対象の皮膚や頭蓋骨を貫通して直接ドーパミン受容体、つまり先ほどの説明で言うところの手のひらにキャッチさせるのです。
All this company does is bully a shot at. Okay, but come on, that is pretty funny. That would be pretty funny.
そしてデッドスポットへと最終的に落とし込まれる。特に G レートの高いエリアの人々は空中の映像パルス信号を敏感にキャッチします。これが人間の視界の中に無から有を作り出すメカニズムです。ノア2を用いれば街中のどこを見ても先生の選挙ポスターだらけなどという芸当も容易というわけ
But
です。
see, now this is where it gets realistic because it's like we could brainwash them to elect you. And that's realism. That's exactly what would happen if this technology was real.
ただしあくまで人々のバイオリズムが高い状態であることが条件ですが、
幻覚によって意志を誘導するか。沈黙の兵器とシステムは同じというわけだね。
A system for enacting mind control on a global scale. The use of such weapons would turn the entire human race, with the exception of a few chosen elites, into slaves. Based on a top secret document discovered in America entitled Silent Weapons for Quiet Wars. I see.
条件さえ満たせば対象の見ている世界を自在に書き換えることができる。
それはギガロマニアックスと同等の力ということか。
その通りです。ノア2は機械仕掛けのギ
What the
ガ
hell is
ロ
a
マニアックス
gigalomaniac?
と言ってもいいでしょう。
What are we talking about?
理論値通りに稼働を始めればギガロマニアックスたちと同等、いや近い将来それ以上の能力を再現できるようになります。
だが効果の有効範囲はどうなっている？電磁波は垂れ流しなのかね？
それでは汎用性という点がおろそかになる。我々は無差別な洗脳を望んでおるわけではない。対象は選定できなければ無意味だぞ。
ご心配なく。そのために機能因子を用意してあります。モニターをご覧ください。
なんだこの小汚い連中は。
我が社ではポーターと呼んでいます。言い換えればマインドコントロールのための部隊といったところでしょうか。
the mind control squad.
彼らが背負っているリュックの中にはノア2のパルス波を送受信するためのポートが入っています。ポートは信号を受け取るとリモートで周囲へと
Oh,
放
they
出す
actually
る
do
わけ
bully
です。
shot in.
歩く端末というわけか。それならば有効範囲の制限などない。
You could very easily do this if it could work, if your phone could be the transmitter, just literally make like Genshin V2 or like a new social media app Everyone is gonna download it, and then you just run it in the background. Congratulations, you've mind controlled the whole society.
限定的使用も問題ないことになるね。
Wasn't that sort of plot to Kingsman? I wouldn't know.
状況は理解した。貴様は引き続き計画を続行したまえ。
ただし、300人委員会に悟られるような言動はくれぐれも慎むように。
あとは何人犠牲を出そうと構わん。
ご理解いただきありがとうございます。それではポーターとして使える人材を提供していただきたいです。
手配しよう。
それと引き続き先生方にはメディアのコントロールをお願いいたします。すべては我ら3人の目指す理想のために。
The little
タッキー。ねえ、タッキー。聞こえてるっしょ？
let's be safe, maybe. And maybe like, no, I can't. Okay. Twitch, don't look.
聞こえてるよ、セーラタン。
あのさ、もうこのゲーム。
What if I put the fishing in the middle of her chest, and then whether I get banned or not depends on whether you guys fish. Her isn't covered in vertical mode. Okay, no one is looking at vertical mode. This is more important because the horizontal VOD is actually saved. I'm sorry, Metal. You have to live with me not being there for a moment.
そんなこと。
It's for the greater cause, and that is so that I am here on Twitch still tomorrow.
そんなことないよ。
Also, let me do this. Where is the other? So it doesn't cover the text.
だって腕を切り落とされちゃったらさ、普通出血多量で死んじゃうっしょ？ゲームだったら違うかもだけど。
If they cut off her arm, she'd die of blood loss, right? Maybe not in a video game, but in real life. Yay.
なんでナナミが。
もうさ、ゲームオーバーなんだよ、きっと。早くゲームをやめないと、もっとたくさん人が死んじゃう。
でもセーラタンだって悪いやつと戦ってるじゃないか。
だって私はアニメだもん。
Okay. Hello. Because I'm anime. Flawless logic, can't reason against that. I stuffed the Seiratan figure into my uniform pocket.
助けなきゃ。僕が。
I have brought Seiratan to keep me safe. Normally, I would never walk around with a figure in my pocket. It might get damaged after all. Letting his wife be destroyed is the worst thing an otaku can do. But now, I didn't have it in me to follow my own policy. I needed something to keep me sane. Of course, I might be dead by this time tomorrow. I looked down at Seiratan once more. Her head was poking out of my pocket. It helped me keep the tears from pouring out. Then somebody slammed into me from behind and I staggered forward. I looked back and saw the Dokyun-type man looking at me annoyed, but he disappeared into the crowd without saying another word. I looked around. I was in Shibuya's Scramble Crossing. It was hard to believe that it was 9 p.m. on a weekday, particularly only a few hours after an earthquake where over 100 people had died. There was an ocean of people around me. Just waiting for the light made me feel like I was going to suffocate. There were people everywhere, on all sides of me. I didn't know why, but the media was out here too. There were people with big TV cameras stepping out onto the road, blocking traffic. The big lights they used for filming were everywhere, and they were blindingly bright. Several people who looked like newscasters were rapidly speaking into cameras. There were a few officers in uniform trying to keep the pedestrians and media out of the road, but the whole situation was out of control. The road was almost completely shut down from all the people on it. Was there an event or something going on a day like this, at this time of night? How could they hold something like that on a day where over 100 people had died? Did they not have the common decency to call it off? And why were the media here along with them? If its people were like this, Japan was doomed. Not that it mattered to me.
助けなきゃ。僕が助けなきゃ。
Shogun had sent me to Ofrond, a building right in the middle of Scramble Crossing. It was the one with the Tatsuya and the Starbucks. I hadn't actually planned on going on my own, but I couldn't get a hold of Remy at all. And the police might still think I was the New-Gen killer, so I couldn't go to them either. I was running out of time as I tried to figure out what to do. In the end, I got so worried about Nanami that I came here alone, with Seiratan close at hand for protection. I worked my way through the crowds and inside Ofrond. It was pretty crowded inside too, but I was too distracted to even care. All I could think about was Nanami's safety. I headed up the escalator to the floor above. There were big windows in the Starbucks that let you see out onto the square below. When I looked out of them, I could see just how many people there were in Scramble Crossing. It felt like everyone in the crowd was waving their arms or jumping up and down. An ocean of dark-haired heads rolled and bobbed beneath me. It was way brighter than it had been when I was down there. I started to wonder if all the lights down below were facing toward the building I was in. Every time I took the escalator up another floor, my heart started pounding faster and faster. I took out my phone and checked the time. It was 9:01 p.m. Oh, she's dead. Okay, GG, we're going home. If Shogun got mad that I was late and killed Nanami, I shivered and ran up the escalator, pushing past the people in front of me. Halfway up, I switched to using the elevator and took it to the top floor. I didn't know how I was going to get up to the roof from there, but I wandered around for a bit, trying to make sure nobody saw me, and eventually found an emergency staircase. I managed to get to the roof without anyone saying anything to me. It was a lot easier than I thought it would be. The wind was blowing hard on the roof. It felt strangely warm, considering it was the end of October. I realized quickly that it wasn't a natural wind, but the air blowing from the air conditioners on top of the building. I fastened the button on my pocket so Seiratan wouldn't blow away. Okay. No response to her. Oh my god. Hearing Seiratan's voice in my brain made me feel a little better. As long as I had Seiratan with me, I wasn't scared. That's what I told myself over and over again. That said, it was awfully dark up here. The only light was the neon Ofrond sign, which I was now seeing from behind. And the neon lights in the other buildings were so bright it was hard to see around me. If somebody was hiding up here, I would never be able to find them. Someone suddenly spoke. My heartbeat had been starting to slow, but now it flew back up to top speed. I looked around, but it was too dark to see where the speaker was. I heard a sound. It was the creaking sound I had heard so many times before. This time, I slowly trained my eyes on the darkness in front of me. I could barely make out the outline of a wheelchair's wheels against the light.
Huh?
Shogun.
ようこそ、匠くん。
The voice was friendly as it said my name. That sounded friendly? It made me feel sick. I didn't want to talk to Shogun. I was scared. I wanted to run away from here right now. But Nanami.
君はすごく勇気のある人だ。
ちゃんと一人で来てくれるとは。ありがとうと言っておくよ。
Wait, something was wrong with this Shogun. Something was different than before. Right. His voice. His voice wasn't right.
その声。
声なんてただの空気の振動でしかないよ。
Wait. Why was that one line different?
どう聞こえるか、その場の条件によって変わる。
Whoa.
そうだろ?
This is creepy. What was going on? His voice was changing more and more. Was he using some kind of machine? Maybe he didn't want me to identify his voice. At this point, why bother? Or what he was saying didn't make any sense either.
タッキーを混乱させようとしてるんさ。油断しちゃダメ。誰の言葉も信じちゃダメ。
That's right. Seiratan's right. Seiratan was always right. Always. I put my hand over the pocket I was keeping her in and squeezed tight.
ななみはどこ?
I was so afraid my heart felt like it was about to burst out of my mouth. I forced myself to speak anyway. I thought stuff like this only happened on TV and in video games.
ななみはもう死んだの?
ダウト。だって手首ちょん切られちゃったんだよ。もし生きてるにしても、もうすぐ出血多量で死んじゃうのは変わんないよ。
I started to cry. I could see Nanami's puffed up, pouting face in my mind. She was a little brat. Honestly, she was obnoxious. But still, I was so sad. So sad I was crying.
ななみは僕の妹なんだ。僕の大切な。なんで殺したんだ。ひどいよ。
死んだと思う。もしかしたら君の家に送ったあの手首は別人のものかもしれないよ。
He's not very smart, you know?
バングルと携帯はナナミちゃんのものだとしても、手首そのものは別人のものかもしれないっていうこと。
Nanami was alive?
信じちゃダメだってば。
君が見事クエストをクリアしたら、ナナミちゃんは返すよ。生きているナナミちゃんを、ね。
Quest. There was that word again. Did he think this was a video game? But the real me wasn't a hero.
でももしクリアできなかった場合、ナナミちゃんは帰ってこない。
His voice suddenly grew as cold as a blade. I felt so stupid being afraid of such an old man, but he was crazy. He was the new gen killer.
だから僕を失望させないようやり遂げてほしい。君ならできるよ。
なんで僕なの？僕じゃなくても、僕なんかじゃなくてもいいじゃないか。
君でなくちゃダメなんだ。
だからなんで？
君は選ばれた人間だから。
Chosen.
勘違いしちゃダメだよ、タッキー。あいつの言う選ばれたってのは、次の犠牲者として選ばれたって意味なんだから。
You know, in this scene, I'm starting to not trust Seiratan. I think the fact that he was like, Seiratan is right, always, is what made me think like, you know what? Actually, maybe she's gonna start spouting some bullshit now. I remember the horrible face that had befallen the other new gen victims and shivered.
君は今日の昼間のことをもちろん覚えているよね。
昼間？
学校で君は岸本綾瀬を助けた。
Shogun's email had talked about her attempted suicide. He must have been watching from somewhere. Or maybe he had mind-controlled her into trying to commit suicide in the first place.
あの花壇のおかげで岸本綾瀬は一命を取り留めた。そうでしょ?
Shogun knew about the power I supposedly had. Nobody there had found anything strange in the slightest about that flower bed. The only one who had known what had happened was Senna, and Senna had said this to me.
お前が妄想したんだろ。
タッキー、将軍の言うことは全力で否定して。
That's right. It was possible that Shogun was only after me, only trying to kill me. Because of this power he thought I had. If I told him I didn't have it, maybe he would let me go.
僕にはそんな力ない。
力？力って何のこと？僕はそんな言葉は一言も使っていないが。
Sarah, you're digging a hole under us. Oh crap.
タッキーには力なんてないよ。ただの肝オタなんだよ。タッキーにヒーローの素質なんてないのさ。私にハーハーしてるだけの無害の引きこもり予備軍。そうっしょ?
He never leaves his room and jerks off to me all day. Am I wrong? She was right. I didn't have any power. That was just a stupid kid's fantasy. After all the things that Senna and Ayasa had said, I'd started to believe it was real. But the two of them were clearly crazy. It was stupid to believe anything a crazy person said. And that's why I'm agreeing with what my anime figure tells me. Because I'm not crazy. They are. Ah. Hadn't Remy said it was all a delusion anyway?
詳しく説明してくれない？あの花壇のこととか。
僕がやったっていう証拠はあるの？花壇を何もないところから出現させるなんて、そんなの僕には無理。
花壇が何もないところから出現したんだ。
He's so dumb. He's so dumb. I can't with this MC.
他の人は誰もが最初からそこに花壇があったって話していたけど、君だけは花壇は最初はそこになかったってそう認識しているわけだ。
I might have dug my own grave again. Wait, who was Shogun anyway? If he knew what the other students and teachers were saying, had he been there to hear it from them?
僕は力なんてない。自分でも一体どうやったのか。
でも使えた。君が妄想したことが現実になった。
惑わされないで。タッキー、本当に力なんてあると思う？そんなのアニメの世界じゃん。タッキーがいるのは現実なんだよ。ただのことも、アヤセッチが2人に
Next thing the MC will say is I don't have the ability to see weird high-tech sword held by some girls.
無理っしょ？分裂したアヤセッチの体に触った？
He didn't.
ただの幻かも。
Why is the delusion image of the anime figure I'm holding gaslighting me? This is like, there's like levels to mental illness that MC has going on.
そもそもタッキーはあの時警察とかユアッチに追われて動転してたし。
Now what about a flower bed?
同じだよ。花壇は
The true villain of this game is Seira 1000%. So true.
タッキーはリミッチを探してあそこへ行った時、頭が痛くてフラフラしてた。
Why is she gaslighting me?
アヤセッチが落ちるまでにはっきりとそこに花壇が
I
ある
wonder
こと
if this is supposed to be sort of like a metaphor for like denial as a coping mechanism, you know? Because that's sort of what that's essentially what's going on.
みんな誰一人として花壇が出現したことを疑問に思ってないってことはさ、逆に言えば最初からそこにあったから疑問に思わないってことっしょ。タッキーが間違えてただけなんだよ。将軍の言葉に惑わされちゃダメ。
Don't let Shogun fool you. Let this delusion of an anime girl fool you instead.
花壇は最初からそこにあった。
I repeated what Seiratan had said.
最初はそこにはなかったって思い込んでたけど、記憶違いだった。僕の脳内での妄想だよ。だってみんなあそこには花壇があったって言ってるんでしょ。力とかそういうわけのわからないものじゃなくて、ただの思い込みだったんだ。
いや、君には力がある。そうだろ。
死にたくない。
そうだろ。
わからない。殺さないで。
君は自分の天才的な力についてもっと自覚するべきだよ。
A God-given power.
その潜在能力はすごすぎる。君なら世界を変えることだってできるんだ。
I wanted to go home. I wanted to go back to the base and grind an ESO until I passed out from exhaustion. I'm sorry. I wanted to leer at my Seiratan figure and watch Blood Tune in an endless loop. That's all I ever wanted. So why?
タッキー、早く逃げて。
Thank you, Chad.
私がずっと一緒にいてあげる。私だけがタッキーの味方なの。だから帰ろう。三次元とのつながりなんて断ち切って楽しいことだけしていきよう。
Yeah, this like lines like this is why I'm thinking that like in a way Seiratan is supposed to be like the way that he copes mentally. So it's essentially like Seiratan tells him how to cope using denial or their realization as a coping mechanism.
さて、前置きはこれぐらいにして、そろそろクエストを始めよう。まずは下のスクランブル交差点がよく見えるところまで行ってほしい。
Then shoot someone.
逃げなきゃ。このままじゃ本当に殺されちゃうよ。
聞こえなかった？スクランブル交差点を見下ろせるところへ移動するんだ。
His voice was soft, but incredibly cold. There was a sharpness to it that made him impossible to disobey.
何を？
My legs were shaking and I couldn't move. I wrapped my arms around myself and hugged tight. Should I do what he said? Or not? I didn't have it in me to even decide.
僕の言うことが聞けない？従ってもらわないと、ナナミちゃんの命は保証できないよ。
どうせもう死んじゃってるよ。タッキーが今から頑張ったってただの無駄死にだよ。
ナナミの声聞かせて。
I squeaked out the words, but Shogun ignored me.
その必要はないよ。君はもう少し今の状況を考えた方がいい。
I didn't want to think about the chance that Nanami was dead. I didn't want to imagine her dead. It felt like if I imagined it, it might really happen. He uses Seiratan as a person to support and advise him to do what he really wants, like running away and all. Without her, he's just a sitting duck. Yeah. I gave in and moved somewhere where I could look down on Scramble Crossing. The ground around my feet was dark. It felt like I might trip if I wasn't careful. There was a clear acrylic board on the side of the roof facing Scramble Crossing, acting as a wall. It was about 3 stories high. When I got close to the wall, I could hear the chaos below me. There was a female voice that seemed much louder than the others. It was the one coming from the big TV.
アクリル板の壁に一箇所だけ壊れて穴が開いている部分があるだろ。
I looked at the wall, wiping away the heavy sweat on my forehead. He was right. There's a hole big enough for a single person to pass through. It was a strange shape, like it had been smashed open. Someone had clearly done it deliberately. Of course, there was nothing on the other side. It was a sheer drop-off in an 8-story building.
そこから顔を出して下にいるギャラリーに挨拶してあげて。
Huh? What had he just said?
もう一度言おうか。その穴から身を乗り出して下にいる人たちに手を振ってあげてほしい。
What is his plan here, exactly? He couldn't mean...
ほら、あいつタッキーを殺す気なんだって。
I gulped. Is that how he had made 5 people jump to their deaths? Seiratan was right after all. I had no choice left but to die. I had to jump.
そんなの嫌だ。
拒否すればナナミちゃんは死ぬよ。
従えばタッキーは死んじゃうよ。
What was I supposed to do? I tried to think of my best option, but with every thought I had, the worst case scenario came to me in the form of a delusion. Somebody, save me.
お兄のバーカ。
Nanami's voice echoed in my panicked ears.
ヒヒバーカ。
I could see her smiling in my mind. It was my fault. Nanami had nothing to do with any of this, but Shogun had kidnapped her because of me and even cut off her arm. I'm sorry, Nanami. I'm sorry. I wiped the tears away. They came back and I wiped them away again. And then, with blurry vision, I slowly walked to the hole and gingerly peered out over the edge. There was a sudden cheer below me. It was so loud it sounded like an earthquake. A big crowd in front of the station, and the media too. They were all here for some event that was about to start. Suddenly a bright light assaulted me. I narrowed my eyes and looked away. I could see the big TV on the next building over, and the person on it was... me. Huh? Me? The big TV showed me with my face covered in tears and my mouth wide open like an idiot. Even my posture looked terrible. At first, I thought I was seeing things. And the next, I thought that somebody was secretly recording me and I shivered. I even thought that maybe it was an image that Shogun was stealing from my mind. And finally, I realized that it was a video of me being taken right this very moment. There was text in large letters running across the bottom of the screen. Live from Shibuya Station, the amazing psychic boy. Oh my god, do they all think that it's gonna be like some sort of magic show or something and he's just gonna kill himself? More text was scrolling beneath it. An emergency live appearance of a psychic boy personally vouched for by Yuri Brightman, the greatest psychic of the 21st century. Will he use his powers to find a new gen killer? Finally, I understood. The media and the gawkers in Scramble Crossing were all looking at me. Don't look at me. Why are they all looking at me? Psychic boy? What the heck? This is crazy. This is crazy. Okay, chat. Positive delusion, reality, or negative delusion? I wouldn't even know what to go for here, not gonna lie. This is insane. Okay, we have 2 votes for reality, huh? Didn't they all know what had happened today? There was an earthquake, It was an intensity 5 quake. Over 100 people died. So, why were they all getting excited over a weird loser like me? Bro, no, if this would actually make, like, I would jump. Bro, he literally has hallucinations of people saying that. This fucking sentence haunts him. And then there's a crowd in Shibuya Scramble Crossing chanting that at him. I would actually, like, go into hysteria. Do a flip. It was like a crowd chant at a soccer or volleyball game. No, this is so crazy. All the Dawkins and Scramble Crossing started to chant. Did they all have a meeting in advance to arrange this? Or was Shogun mind controlling them? They were all raising their hands, shouting the same phrase in perfect unison. They were insane. I shivered. The chant continued. Between the chants, I could hear the Dawkins girls screaming at me. They know his name? Huh? When I listened closer, they were all making fun of me. They were all just laughing and enjoying my misery. All they care about was their own fun. This was a big festival, and I was the sacrifice. And all they cared about was joining in the big party. They were all Dokyun scum. Nobody was going to save me. They all wanted me to die here. Their mass psychosis was going to kill me. And they weren't doing it out of hatred or anger, but just for fun.
Yada. Yada, yada, yada.
I was scared. I thought I would piss myself from fright. I had never felt death so close. I thought I was going to pass out, like a child having a tantrum. I was crying and sobbing. I thought that maybe if I cried enough, Shogun would let me go. Maybe the crowd below would have sympathy and come to help. Maybe the police would realize I wasn't the killer, just a harmless dorky loser, and come to save me. Maybe my parents were watching at home and they would offer to take my place. Maybe Rimi would appear out of nowhere to save me. Maybe I would wake up and find out it was all just a dream. I shook my head desperately, screaming again and again that I didn't want to die. But...
その場から一歩でも下がれば、ナナミちゃんは死ぬからね。
Shogun's tone hadn't changed.
君はもう舞台に上がってしまったんだ。覚醒するには最高のステージだとは思わないか？そこに集まっている人たちも君に期待しているんだよ。もしそれを裏切れば、ボートと化して君に襲いかかってくるかもしれない。
After hearing that, I couldn't step back or even turn around.
気にすんな。ただの脅し文句だよ。タッキー、ナナミッチは死んじゃったんだよ。今ここで逃げ出してもタッキーは悪くないってば。
But...
そこから見える景色に集中してほしい。
Shogun's voice was completely calm, but had a force behind it that brooked no disagreement.
君にここでしてもらうことは一つだけ。
飛び降りるなんてできない。死んじゃう。
誰もそんなことは言っていないよ。
Huh? That wasn't what he wanted? Then I didn't have to die?
君にはそこから一歩も動かずに理想度を見つけてもらう。
Find my D sword? How? I looked so hard for it and never even come close. What is that? How the hell was I supposed to find it here?
理想度はいわば妄想の剣。それだけ言えばわかるだろ。
No, I don't understand.
騙されちゃダメだよ、タッキー。
MC, I want you to aura farm.
妄想が実際にあるわけないっしょ。
見つかるわけないよ。
君はこれまでに剣を持った人間と何度か接触した。そうだね。その人物から聞いているはず。理想度をどうやって手に入れたのか、よく思い出して。
この剣は命運を握る。この剣は嘆きを収束させたもの。この剣は超越した場所に干渉するためのもの。異空間のようなもの。同一次元上にあるもう一つの可能性、あるいは妄想。言い方にあんまり意味はないわ。唯一確かなこの剣もその領域に存在しているということ。いつの間にかそこにあった。気づかなかったわ、最初は。でもちょっとだけ見方を変えたら分かった。もしかしたら匠にももう見えているのかも。見ているだけで。世界を疑え、仕組みを知れ。お前の見ている景色は本物か。妄想は現実にすることが可能だ。本当じゃないものが景色に紛れ込む。つまりエラーを現実として認識させる。
そうだよ。すでに多くのヒントが提示されているよね。君にはもう見えているはず。君の眼下に広がっているその景色の中に。
Is it actually the thing I was pointing at? Because it just looks weirdly drawn when everything else is like a 3D scene. So, he had hidden the D-cert somewhere in front of me, and he wanted me to find it?
見つけたら許してくれるの？
見つけるだけじゃクエストクリアにはならない。実際に剣を手に入れるんだ。その場から一歩も動いちゃならないっていうルールを破らないようにしてね。
That was impossible. How was I supposed to get this sword without being able to move from up here? What did Shogun even want me to do?
だからあいつは無理難題を突きつけておいて結局タッキーを殺したいだけなんだって。
それができないならナナミちゃんの命はないよ。
逃げよタッキー。お家に帰ろう。
But if I take a single step back, he will kill Nanami.
だからナナミッチはどうせ助からないってば。
He said he wouldn't hurt her.
あいつの言葉を信じるの？嘘ついてるかもしれないよ。
I looked carefully at the scene in front of me. The lights made it hard to see anything far away. I tried to look at my surroundings as much as I could, but there wasn't much I could see from here. Most everything was hidden by the buildings around me. I had to find it, the sword.
無理だよ。
I fell back to what Ayasa and Senna had said. What did they mean?
でもちょっとだけ見方を変えたら分かった。 本当じゃないものが景色に紛れ込む。
And then I fell back to the patterns in the ceiling of my room back at my parents' place. I'd always looked up at them when I was trying to go to sleep. I thought to myself that the knots in the wood kind of looked like a human face. And once I had started to see a face there, I couldn't see it as anything else but a face.
はいはい、目の錯覚目の錯覚。そんな木目どこにでもいっぱいあるよ。
And that's right. This wasn't like a pattern, a piece of wood.
切り取るんだ。
Shogun's voice was still calm as a whisper. Hi, Chaos Maker! Welcome to the stream. How's it going? I'm doing good. I'm doing good. I had a really tiring day at work, but now I'm relaxing and I'm focusing on that and trying to forget everything that annoyed me at work today.
剣が見えたなら、そこから切り取る。君にはそれができる。
はーい、意味不明。そいつは適当言ってるだけだよ。
妄想は現実にすることが可能だ。
Like the flower bed, like the second Ayasa? But last time I had tried to create a real D-sword out of my delusions by using the fake one, it hadn't worked. I turned my head from left to right. I looked out at everything I could see from where I was standing. I saw a sword. What? What? Oh, I have to pick? Does this matter? Okay. I did see a sword. I saw a sword, clearly. Yeah. If I could move from here, I could go get it. Yeah, I just have to delude myself. I'm not allowed to move. I was pushed from behind hard. At some point, someone had gotten behind me. I hadn't noticed them at all. It wasn't Shogun. I hadn't heard the creaking sound of the wheelchair. Then who was it? The night sky around Shibuya Station spun and spun. I fell. I could feel the wind on my whole body. The ground got closer. I could hear screams, no cheers, coming from the people around me. What was this? Was this the end? Was my life over? No. No, 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 no! It was very nice to do an autosave there, by the way. I don't know if people noticed that, but it did do a quick save. I did see a sword. I saw it clearly. But I can't move away. I could see the sword someplace that wasn't here too. No? It's not actually a sword. No, it is a sword. No! I saw a sword, and I saw it clearly. And I can't move to get it. I forgot which option I chose. You just heard someplace that wasn't. I forgot what option I chose. What? You chose no. Okay. So I could see the sword before. No, you guys lied to me. I can see a sword clearly, but I can't move. And I have not seen it before. Oh, yeah, this one is no, and then here, it's not actually a sword. Is yes. I saw it. As I looked out into the night. Yeah, I told you guys it was this. The light warping and twisting through the tears in my eyes, I found a spot that looked like a sword. I guess I was right. I hadn't noticed it at first, but when I changed the way I looked at things, suddenly it was there. I didn't care if it was just a coincidence or not. The more I started to see it as a sword, the more it contrasted with its surroundings. Finally, it became more and more real, standing out against the scenery around it. Even its outlines were gradually becoming clear.
見つけたんだね。
Shogun must have noticed my shock because he spoke almost immediately.
では手を伸ばしてその剣を切り取ってほしい。深く考えなくていいんだ。君にならできるよ。
できるわけないじゃん。ダメ、タッキー。そんなことしたら下に落ちちゃう。落ちたら死んじゃうよ。
I looked below. The crowd below me was huge. The ambulances weren't here yet. It was just like this afternoon. They were too slow. Of course they were. The earthquake this afternoon had been devastating.
切り取るなんてできないよ。
固定観念にとらわれたらダメだ。最初からできるわけがないと思っていたら何もできない。常識を捨て去ってあるがままを見ればいいんだ。君には力がある。世界はその力に応えてくれる。あの花壇みたいにね。
Could I really do that? Could I really get this sword just by reaching out? Maybe it was worth a try. Ayasa had said the D-sword would save me. Maybe this was what she was talking about. I could get this sword and finish the quest. Nanami would come back alive and Shogun would leave me alone. I could go back to my normal, peaceful life.
そんなに都合よくいくと思う？将軍があっさりタッキーを見逃すって？だって相手は10人も殺した連続殺人鬼なんだよ。
Shogun wouldn't try to make me do the impossible. I could do this. That's why he was telling me to do it. Because he knew I could.
あいつはタッキーを殺したいだけ。忘れたの？集団ダイブの映像。将軍は5人の男女を1回も触れることなく転落死させたんだよ。
I hated to disobey Sarah Tam, but still I reached out to the sword as if seeking validation. The people below gasped. Thousands of people in the packed crossing below were watching my every move. If you included the people watching on TV, there might be millions or tens of millions. I felt like I was going to throw up. The pressure of having so many people watching me threatened to shatter my mind like glass. No, don't think about it. Think about it and you won't be able to move. For now, focus on the sword. I reached out from where I stood, keeping a close eye on my footing. I focused on the sword and tried to grab it. I couldn't touch it. The wind was blowing hard. It was coming at me randomly, too. One moment it would blow from the front, and the next it would slam into my body from the side. I was grabbing onto the acrylic board, but it was so slippery it wasn't doing much more than making me feel a little better. If I had the slightest lapse in concentration, I would fall off. Still, I tried desperately to grab the sword, but no matter how many times I tried, it didn't work.
できるわけないよ。だってあれは本当の剣じゃないんだよ。
The tears came back. My vision blurred again, and the faint sword-like thing I had seen a moment ago began to dissolve. I quickly wiped away the tears. It felt like if I lost sight of it, I would never find it again.
それならもっと手を伸ばせばいい。
Damn it. Didn't he know how dangerous this was? I bit my lip and held back my tears and reached out further than before. I still couldn't grab it.
もっと。
If I fell here... I looked down again. I was higher up than I thought. I felt like I was going to get dizzy and pulled back and clung to the acrylic board.
どうしたの？剣を早く手に入れて。でないといつまで経ってもナナミちゃんは戻ってこないよ。
I shouldn't have looked down. I couldn't stop shaking. I was worried the shaking would make me slip. I was completely terrified.
できないよ。許して。
君はあまり僕を舐めない方がいい。君のわがままに付き合うつもりはないんだ。理想度を手に入れる。それができないなら、君の妹は死ぬ。君も死ねばいい。ただそれだけ。
Why was that so fast? No, I don't want to die.
死にたくない。
Once again, I stretched out my arm from the hole. I could see the sworder still. I tried again and again, but it was no good. It was so close. Why couldn't I reach it? I leaned out further. I stretched out my whole body and reached my hand towards the sword. I even stretched my fingers as far as they would go. And slowly clenched my hand. Once again, nothing.
手が届かないよ。
It was impossible. Seiratan was right. That sword was half invisible. There was no way to even grab it. It only looked like it was a normal size because it was so far away. It had to be incredibly huge. No human could hold a sword that size.
その剣をつかめばクエストクリアなんだよ。
でも落ちちゃう。届かない。
ナナミちゃんを助けなくていいの？
助けて。もう許して。死にたくないんだよ。
昼間のことを思い出すんだ。君の力があれば、
Oh,
そこ
we're
から
really
落ちたとしても
gaslighting.
また花壇を出現させればいい。君は落ちても死なない。
自信ある？
Seiratan whispered to me mischievously. Confident?
タッキーがここから落ちて下の地面に激突するまでほんの3秒もないよ。その間に自分の意志でまた花壇を出現させる。タッキーがそんなすごいことできる？今まで一度も自分で意識してその力とかってのを使ったことないっしょ？
Okay, chat. Reality, where I fall down and die, or negative delusion, where I fall down and die, but worse, or positive delusion, where I somehow get the sword. I'm assuming those are the options. Disclaimer: I don't actually know. I'm just assuming. Good Delul, I won't say her time to shut up already. So real. That's right. Even if I did have that power, I didn't know how to use it.
ねえ、逃げよう。タッキーはよくやったよ。
Okay, but what if the positive delusion is actually running away with Seiratan? What then, Matt?
でもこれ以上は無理。死にたくないっしょ？ タッキーはよくやったよ。妹を亡くした悲劇の兄として今後もやっていけるって。
Now he could be a tragic older brother who lost his sister. The older brother who lost his sister.
PTSD って言えば何もかも許されるっしょ。
Tell everybody you have PTSD and they let you get away with anything. If I send this to someone who actually has PTSD, is that rude?
正々堂々と引きこもれるんだよ。あ、もしかしたらさ、どっかの偽善者が同情してタッキーを養ってくれるかもしんないね。ブログに適当なこと書けば出版社に目をつけられてベストセラーになっちゃうかも。
Write some low-effort blog post about how sad you are. Maybe a publishing company will pick it up and make you a best-selling offer. This is funny. This is funny.
日本中が泣いたとか白々しいキャッチコピーがつけられて、それに載せられたばかりゆとりな人たちからの感動した、共感したっていう絶賛の嵐。
Yeah, they'll put the book that made Japan cry in big letters on the back, and all the lazy idiots who want to look sophisticated will buy it and talk about how great it is. This is actually just real. This is actually just real.
それで印税もガッポガッポ。半年後に映画が決定っしょ。すごいよ。ナナミッチをここで見殺しにするだけでタッキーにはバラ色の人生が待ってるんさ。
Oh my god. The life you've dreamed of is waiting for you, and all you have to do is leave your sister for dead. Eh?
さあ、どっちを選ぶ？タッキーがここで頑張って、でも死んで全てが無になるか。
Try hard here and then die, so it doesn't even matter.
バラ色の人生か。
Have your dream life. This is insane.
死にたくない。
That is insane.
痛いのは嫌だ。死ぬのは嫌だ。消えるのは嫌だ。ナナミがどうなろうと、僕は痛くも痒くもない。
I hate Seiratan, but that was pretty funny. I kept whispering the words as if I were trying to make myself believe them. There was one person here who was right, and it wasn't Shogun. It was Seiratan.
あの剣に見えるだけで剣じゃない。ただの光の反射とか目の錯覚だ。
そうだよ。さあ、帰ろう。帰ったらさ、私のパンツ見ながらいっぱいエッチなこと想像していいから。
僕帰る。帰ってセーラタンでハーハーするよ。
嬉しいな。タッキーのためにエッチなポーズたくさんしてあげるね。
I slowly pulled back my hand. Just doing so made me feel so much better. I took the Seiratan figure out of my pocket and stared at her smile. If Seiratan was okay with what I was doing, that was all that mattered. I wiped the snot from my nose. I turned around and walked towards Shogun.
誰が動いていいと許可した？クエストはまだクリアしていないぞ。
Oh, so now there isn't a dude to push him. How convenient!
僕は勇者なんかじゃない。妹一人救えないようなヘタレな妹だよ。僕に期待しないで。僕を見ないで。僕をそっとしておいて。
ではナナミちゃんは殺すことにするよ。
どうせもう死んでる。
She was already dead. Shogun had killed her in some horrible way. It would probably be the top story in the news tomorrow, the 6th New Gen case. It was sad, but I couldn't do anything about it. Oh! I heard what sounded like dripping water, but it wasn't water. It was Nanami's blood. It was bright red blood dripping from her severed wrist. Please don't be super graphic. Please don't be super graphic. I'm like looking at my OBS instead of the full screen game so that I get less freaked out.
鬼って最低。
Oh, okay. They screamed. The whole world turned red. My mind went blank with rage, sorrow, and helplessness. And I charged into Shogun at full speed. I grabbed at the figure hidden in the shadows. But my hands passed through thin air, and I collapsed into the wheelchair. I must have hit my elbow because it was stinging from the pain. I winced and looked for the person in the wheelchair. There was a severed head rolling at my feet. Trembling, I picked it up off the ground. It was very hard. I realized quickly that it wasn't a severed head at all. It was some kind of helmet. A black helmet.
Das ist Spider.
What? What? Well, now I'm just really confused. Legally distinct. Legally distinct. Guess I forgot to mention Bangunbred's sister is pretty gory. Sometimes you might not like it. Okay. So no Yuri for me. And Chapter 7, Psychopath. You end the chapter like that? You end the chapter like that? We don't get anything more? Hello? Huh? Huh? Oh, that's so frustrating. That's so frustrating. Come on. The entrance to the Hansaman subway was packed, even though it was almost midnight. Was that Darth Vader's helmet? No, it was Darth Spider. Legally distinct. Thanks to the earthquake, all the trains and buses were running late. The people heading for the turnstiles weren't even trying to hide their annoyance. Yasujiban was in the station staff office watching them on the monitors. The call had come in from the station staff yesterday morning. There was a report of a teenage girl attacking people with a huge bladed weapon. The local police had rushed to the scene, but when they had gotten there was no sign of the girl or the man she had supposedly attacked. Ban had happened to hear this and noticed the description of the man she had supposedly attacked. There were several earlier reports of the same thing happening. That's why he had come here at this god-awful hour. Supposedly, the station's video cameras had captured the incident on tape. When he had asked the station staff to show him the video, they had eagerly agreed, stopping only to add that it was a little bit creepy. He had them use the station monitors to show him the footage. It was full of static. The static was probably from the earthquake. He had heard that a lot of other hard disk drives had lost data today. That probably had something to do with it. How convenient! How convenient! It was only barely possible to make out what was going on. It would be very hard to identify any individuals on the tape. The monitor was showing a single man. He was on the right side of the screen and distance away from the monitor, standing against the wall. The camera was showing a spot a distance away from the turnstiles, one you wouldn't use if you were just here to get on a train. In fact, the only other people to appear on screen were people quickly cutting across the camera's field of view. The screen was so fuzzy with static that it was hard to tell, but he looked like he was short and extremely thin. He was wearing a heavy backpack too. Ban couldn't imagine what he was doing there. He fast-forwarded the video, and after an hour or so, something happened. A few of the passers-by walking across the screen headed toward the man and stopped. It looked to Ban as if they were being drawn in by the backpack he was wearing. What was especially strange, though, was that they didn't seem to be talking. They were just standing there. The few who stopped didn't seem to know each other either. They were different ages and genders, and seemed to have nothing in common. But what was going on? Just as Ban started to get really confused at the goings on screen, though, a girl appeared on the camera. She was wearing a Suime Academy uniform and had long hair. She walked right up to the man with the backpack. The way she was moving was clearly different from the ones who had stopped nearby him before. She knocked them out of the way as she grabbed the backpack man's collar. The two of them argued for a moment. Or actually, it felt like the girl was threatening the man. This seemed to bring the others back to their senses. They quickly walked away. A few moments later, the girl gave the man a hard shot. The man fell flat on his ass and then something strange happened. The girl took a step back and struck an odd pose. She dropped low and seemed to bring her fists up to her ears. It looked like she was holding something heavy in her hands, but there was nothing there at all. The report had said she was carrying a huge bladed weapon, but where could she be hiding it on her body? The answer immediately became clear. The screen, that is the camera, suddenly began to shake. This wasn't static. The way the hair and clothes of the people around him were flapping as they were blowing in the wind made that much clear. Ban leapt forward to get a closer look at the screen. Suddenly the girl was holding a huge sword in her hands. It was bigger than she was tall, and Ban had no idea where she had gotten it from. He had them rewind the tape so he could see it again. No matter how many times he watched it, the sword just appeared. The sword just seemed to appear from thin air. If nothing else, the girl hadn't moved at all. The people on the screen were freaking out at the girl and her sword. She, however, was completely ignoring them. The man with the backpack, though, was clearly frightened. He scrambled to his feet and tried to run away. The girl refused to let him. The man was surprisingly agile as he ran, but the girl caught up and swung the massive blade like it weighed nothing at all. Hi TMC, welcome to the stream. How's your day going? Yeah, we got the new model running! The sword cut through the man's backpack like a tornado. The impact knocked him to the ground. He didn't seem to have been hurt though. I don't know if you've had this model for a while now, but I've seen you rig it for a while and I love it. Yeah, I started using it as of this weekend. So this is the first stream of this model. So you're not late. Cause on a week ago, last week Tuesday, I posted a showcase because I submitted it for the Live Today Awards for this year, and then took a few days to do some preparations to be able to stream with it. And now we stream with it. I'm glad you like it, by the way. Luck of the awards. Thank you! Thank you! In fact, when the police got there, they hadn't found any blood at all. Van whispered aloud. The girl suddenly looked at the camera as if she had heard him, even though there was no way she could with a pre-recorded video. The screen blurred for a moment. And she was gone. It was as if she had never been there in the first place. The shattered remains of the man's backpack, though, testified that she had been. It was hard to tell from the static on the screen, but it was plain that she had disappeared in less than a span of a second. Van rewound the tape. The timestamp in the corner showed nothing unusual at all. In other words, this video hadn't been spliced. But how to explain the disappearance of the girl and the appearance of the sword then? Van felt like he had seen a ghost. He had no explanation for any of this. The world around me was perfectly white. I was lying down. It felt like I was floating, but I couldn't tell if I was. I couldn't tell which way was up and which way was down. The silence was loud in my ears. It was like hundreds of crickets were chirping in my head. If somebody had told me this was the afterlife, I wouldn't have doubted it for a second. The place was just so monotone, empty, silent, orderly, organized, vacant, and peaceful. This must have been what the Buddha's brain was like after he achieved enlightenment. It wasn't like my brain at all. I wanted to stay here forever. All the crap I had to put up with in the real world, and the pain, the suffering, the emptiness, I didn't want to deal with any of it. And then, a noise disrupted the silent white world. It was the sound of a door opening and the sound of somebody's footsteps. They were coming closer.
Oni, 来たよ。いっしょ、いっしょ。お兄、お兄、今日ね、ママね、いいもの持ってきたんだよ。はい、これ、プレゼント。
Here's my other hand.
手編みの帽子なんだよ。 すごいでしょ、すごいでしょ。もう冬だしね。ナナね、帽子好きだからあんなの使ってね。もう、お兄、無視しないでよ。ああ、ご飯残してるじゃん。せっかくのカレーなのに。ちゃんと食べないとダメなんだよ。ねえねえ、病院のご飯って美味しくないって本当？でも食べないとダメ。起きろ、お兄。食べずに寝たら夜になってお腹空いちゃうんだから。
Somebody's hand came around to my back. They pushed me and sat me up. It was only then that I realized my eyes were closed. I opened them and there was a small girl there. It was Nanami, my little sister. But she was so small. It was Nanami as she had looked several years ago. How many years, though? She had to be in elementary school at least. The young Nanami scooped up curry with a plastic spoon and offered it to me. And I knocked her hand away. Now for some reason I swept the tray of the curry rice into the floor with my arm.
お兄、お行儀悪いんだ。お母さんに言いつけてやるぞ。
Nanami crouched down and picked up the tray. Next, she brought a washcloth over from the sink in the corner of the room and began to clean up its splattered contents.
ほんと、世話が焼けるな。ナナがいないと何にもできないんだから。
Just leave me alone. I covered my face with my hands and slowly closed my eyes.
ごめんね。あなたを守ってあげられなくて。
I slowly opened my eyes and saw a white ceiling. The white was dazzlingly bright. I blinked a few times. I tried moving my fingers. I brought my hand up to my face. My hand made a shadow blocking the light. Only then was I free from the brightness. I had been dreaming. It was a dream about Nanami. Nanami had always been such a little grown-up. That tendency of hers had only gotten more pronounced when I had stopped talking to everybody after the bus accident. My parents just became overprotective by whatever mean things Nanami might say. She would always try and take care of me. But that dream... Had I ever stayed at a hospital like that? Had been going to one but never stayed there, right? Well, there was no point in trying to read too much into a dream. I was lying down on a bed. It was a simple white bed. The sheets were white, the pillows were white, the linoleum floor was white, the wallpaper was white too. Even the fluorescent lights on the ceiling were white. Curtains on the windows were white. The tiny shelf next to the bed was white. The porcelain pitcher on it was white. The paper cups were white. I was starting to get sick of all the white. I tried forcing myself to sit up. For a single instant, I felt a numbing pain around my lower back, but it quickly vanished. The room was pretty big, twice the size of the base at least, but it was empty. It might have been a hospital room. I could see a single pair of green slippers just under the bed. I felt relieved to find something that wasn't white. I was moving, and I wasn't dead, from the look of it. My throat was dry. I wanted a soda. A cold, fizzy soda. But of course, there was nothing like that in this pure white room. I ended up pouring water from the pitcher directly into my mouth. It was a little warm, but enough to slake my thirst. After I finished drinking my water and taking a moment to catch my breath, the door opened and a white-clad nurse came in. So this place was a hospital after all, then. She seemed a little surprised as she looked at me. She had thought I was still asleep, it seemed.
あら、西条さん、目が覚めたんですね。
She smiled gently at me. What a great nurse she was. Wait, I felt like I had seen her somewhere before. Oh, now I remember. I had met her when I had gone to see Dr. Takashina. What was her name again? I couldn't remember, so I glanced at the name tag on her chest. Hazuki, it read. Right, Hazuki.
お体の調子はどうですか?
She offered me a thermometer. I took it, without really thinking about what was going on.
体温を測ってくださいね。
I couldn't say no if she was going to be this nice. My head was overflowing with doubts, but I put the thermometer under my arm anyway. Then the memories burst inside my head. I remembered what had happened before. Up on the roof, After I had given up on saving Nanami, I had charged Shogun in his wheelchair. But there was nobody there. I had fallen over and found myself holding a Darth Spider helmet. Count Darth Spider was a famous villain from the movie Spark Wars. His all-black silhouette was famous even in Japan. I had never expected in a million years to find that Shogun was wearing a Darth Spider cosplay. All my anger melted away, replaced by confusion. I stood up and looked at the wheelchair. Nobody was in it. There was a black hooded robe draped over the back of the chair. It was part of Darth Spider's costume, too. I looked around to see if anyone else was there, but there wasn't. I was the only person on the dark roof. Oh, those are creepy! What are those smiles? Ew. Then the media came rushing in. They surrounded me with microphones, cameras, and lighting. There was nowhere to turn. I didn't count how many people were there, but at least a dozen. The sheer intensity of them all terrified me. I wanted to run, but I couldn't move an inch. They were crushing me.
西条君、投資はどうなっちゃったのかな。
結局ニュージェネの犯人は誰なのかわからないということですか。
そのダーススパイダーのヘルメットは何か超能力と関係あるのかな。
西条さん、答えてくれませんか。これで終わりなんて言うなら電波ジャックですよ。
結局何がしたかったんです。ニュージェネに便乗した売名行為ですか。不謹慎だと思わないんですか。
ユーリ・ブライトマンさんとは最近話したかな。どんなこと話した。
地震とニュージェネについて何か関係あると思いますか。
その手に持っている美少女フィギュアは何らかの儀式的なアイテムと考えていいんですか。
このような行動を取ったことにはアニメやゲームの影響はあったのかな。
西条さん、
西条君。
The lights were so bright. It felt like my flesh was burning under a midsummer sun. There were so many people around me that the heat of their bodies was making my head feel woozy. My vision was spinning. I was pushed into a corner, panicking. I couldn't breathe. I put my hands to my head. I couldn't see a thing. I didn't want to see a thing. I couldn't hear a thing. I didn't want to hear anything. I couldn't feel a thing. I didn't want to feel anything.
やめてくれ!
And as I screamed, my mind went blank, like it had short-circuited. That's right. I passed out. And then, how'd I end up here after that? I couldn't remember. If nothing else, I was sure I hadn't walked here on my own. Maybe I had been brought here by an ambulance? Hazuki was writing something on a clipboard in her hand. There must have been some kind of paper stuck on it. Was she writing down my symptoms? I was able to check the time from the simple nondescript wristwatch on her arm. It was just past 6 in the morning. I had been out for a long time from the look of it. But why this hospital, though? Okay, I think maybe this is a good time to stop for today. Psychopath. Ugh. I need to eat something and sleep a little bit earlier today because I couldn't sleep last night and I'm tired. But thanks everyone for showing up today. I'm glad I get to continue this game and that people showed up and were interested in, you know, continuing it with me. Because I get that it's a very long and very confusing game, but I think it's also very, very interesting. I want to continue it. Thanks for the Lulu stream. Every stream is the Lulu stream of Hitomi! Yay! Yay! Oh god. Thank you for the stream, Hitomi. Have a good rest. Thank you! I hope you guys have a great rest as well. Okay. Thanks everyone for hanging out today. Let me see if I can quickly rate someone. Oh wait, Cat is streaming. Let's rate Cat. Cat is a homie I know from like Life to the Rigging. Thanks everyone for hanging out today. Also, if you're new here, make sure to join the Discord and drop a follow so you know when's the next time I continue playing the game. Yay! I would like to continue this week. Also, I'm planning, if all goes well, on Sunday I'll probably do like a karaoke stream with song requests open. So if you've been missing Hitomi singing, look forward to Sunday. Yeah. Thanks everyone, and I'll see you guys again next time. Bye bye.